Hello, today we are going to be working with watercolor, and for today's tutorial we will be using this is a pan watercolor. So you'll have a tray of that, and don't worry if yours isn't as clean as mine. I'll show you how to get that clean in just a minute. You're going to need a piece of crayon. You're going to need two brushes, one that has kind of some short flat bristles and one kind of medium brush. You're going to need a pen or a pencil. You'll need one paper towel and a piece of paper. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write your name at the bottom of the piece of paper. So go ahead and do that. And then you're going to take the piece of paper and you're going to fold it so that it has, whoops, I kind of messed up there. You're going to fold it so that it has kind of three in thirds. Okay, so you know what? Notice what I'm doing there? I'm kind of rolling it up, figuring out where those thirds are, and then I'm going to press that down. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing going the other way. So I'm going to fold in about a third of the way, and then fold over about a third of the way. And if I folded this correctly, and I think I did, I should have 9 boxes. Okay? Now what we're going to do today is we're going to try 9 different watercolor techniques, and you're going to follow along. Actually, we're going to try 7, and then in these 2 boxes you're going to try some things on your own. Alright, so go ahead and get your paper set up. I'll give you a couple moments to do that. So to get started, we're gonna do what's called a basic wash. In this first box, I would like you to write the word wash. And what I want you to notice about the brush is that we're gonna pick up this medium brush. Even if yours isn't as big as mine, you're gonna pick up this medium brush, and you're just gonna get a little water on it. And then you're gonna come over here and you're gonna pick up some blue, okay? Now these watercolors get activated when you put water on them. So we're just going to kind of rub the bristles of the brush into the watercolor, and make sure you get make sure there's enough water on your brush. If it's not enough water, it's gonna be scratchy. And I want you to just try to make a shape here, but I want you to try to make it as solid as you can, which means there shouldn't be streaks in it. This is called a wash. Move this crayon out of the way. Okay, now what I want you to notice about watercolor is that it is transparent, and you never want to put too much watercolor on at once. You want to put it on it in layers. Okay, so that's a wash. Let's move on to what's called a blend. And we're also going to do another technique along with it called a blot. So we're going to label this blend with blot. For this, you're going to need your paper towel. So get it folded up and ready to go. Set that to the side. And then I'd like you to watch what I'm doing. We're going to take 2 colors and we're going to let them blend in the middle. So I'm going to get a little bit of my red. Let's get this pushed up here a little bit more so you can see. Get quite a bit of red. Make sure you've got enough water. Then I'm going to rinse in between, and I'm going to pull up some blue. And I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to move towards the red. Now where they go through to the middle, they'll start to blend. You might want to also pull up your paper and cause them and force them to blend a little more, depending on which way you want to go. Okay? And then before it dries, you're going to take your paper towel and kind of crunch it up so it makes kind of a shape, and then just do something called a blot. And what the blot does is it picks up the paint so you get a much lighter kind of ghost kind of feeling there. So go ahead and try the blend with blot. All right. The next one that we're going to try, the next technique we're going to try, which is one of my favorites, is called wet on wet. And for this one, we want to start with some clear water. So go ahead and rinse your brush off, and then just kind of take some water, clear water and put it onto the square. And then come over here and pick up a color. I like purple for this one. And just drop the purple into the water that's already there. You can kind of see what kind of an effect you get there. Kind of make that move around a little bit. It's kind of a fun one. All right, let me move this over just a touch. You can see what I'm doing. All right, moving on to the second row in just a few moments. All right, our next watercolor technique we're going to try today is called dry brush. Okay, so write that in the square. And for this one, we're going to take our bristly kind of short brush, whatever kind of brush you have there. Might not look exactly like mine, that's okay. And we're just going to get a little bit, we're not going to even put water on this one. We're just going to try to go into one of these that's already kind of got some water in it. And to me, it looks like this blue one has the best. You don't want a lot for the dry brush technique. You start with the dry brush, put just a little bit of pigment on there, pigment's the color, and then just try brushing it on. This should look scratchy. Now, without drying this, I'm going to come over here and wipe the blue off, and I'm going to try picking up a little bit of, let's say, the red. And you can kind of see the difference on what this looks like. It has a much different feel to it. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is called Resist. Now, because watercolor is so fluid, it resists some things, and I have a crayon here. You should have a piece of crayon as well. If your crayon still has the wrapper on it, you can peel that off if you like. And what I'm going to do is I am going to make the first letter of my name. And what you want to do when you're working with resist is you want to press pretty hard. You're trying to really cover the paper with wax. So I'm going to make this kind of an A here, because that's the first letter of my name. So you go ahead and write the first letter of your name, or you can try an A if you'd like to. Then I'd like you to pick up a dark color. Okay, so either purple or black. I'm going to pick up black, and we're just going to swipe that right across. And what you'll notice is if you pressed hard enough with the wax, it will resist it. Now, if it didn't work so well, you can also take your paper towel and blot a little bit and see what kind of, designs and looks that you can get there. Try that a little bit. It's one of my favorites. These two are my favorites here. All right, we're now going to try to do a value scale. Value, again, is the difference between dark and light. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one color, and we're going to try to make a darker and lighter version of it. Now, what you'll notice is there is no white here. So the white has to come from the paper. It depends on how much paper is showing through to see how light it's going to be. The more pigment, the darker it looks. The less pigment, the lighter it looks. So we're going to pick a color like purple, and you're just going to get some on your brush, and full strength, you're going to make a box. And you can see how dark this looks. Now, without washing your brush, I want you to take this and I want you to put it over here in this mixing tray. Now, you'll see there's some little lines here. That's because the water will move it everywhere. If this is really dirty, mine's pretty clean, you can dip your paper towel in the water and clean it out before you do this. So I'm just going to drop off the purple that's left on my brush there, and then I'm going to rinse out my brush. For the second value, we want it to be a little bit lighter, so I've got water on my brush now, and I'm going to go ahead and put the next box in. You can see that it's a much lighter value. For the third and final box, I'm going to rinse my brush again, getting more water on my brush, adding more water, and we're going for the lightest value. Now, if that light value, it doesn't look much lighter than that, you can also, again, take your paper towel, blot it, and you'll get a really light value. So on this one, we should have one dark, one medium, and one light. I'll give you a chance to do that. All right, the last one before I get you going on your own to try some stuff out here is we're gonna try to learn how to mix a color, okay? So you can see over here in the palette, let me get my little crazy hand here. You can see in all of the colors that I have that we only have the main colors. But what if we wanted something like teal? Teal is a blue-green that's pretty light. It has white added. Since we don't have white, we'll have to let lots of the paper show through. So we are gonna go ahead and mix a blue-green. For that, we want to make sure our brush is washed. And remember, when you're getting the water off, no tapping, wipe only. We're gonna pick up some green. The green hasn't been activated yet, so go ahead and activate that. And we're gonna put that in a different one of these little spaces than our purple, because if we put that next to the purple, it's gonna all mix together. Once we have the green pigment in, we wash our brush again. Now you'll be using the same set of paints for this entire week, so it's your responsibility to keep it clean. If you get it too wet, it's not gonna work very well. If you keep it all messy, it's not gonna work very well, so you have to be responsible for it. I'm gonna pick up some blue now. My blue's already been activated, so I just have to barely tap in, and I'm gonna now mix that with the green. Now I'm going to show that color. Okay, so you can see I got a nice blue-green here. Maybe it's more on the green side. Maybe I want to try again and make it a little bit more blue. I'm going to rinse my brush again, go back into the blue, and add a little more blue this time. Let's see what color I've got this time. Yeah, it's getting a little more blue. I'm going to try one more time to add just a little bit more blue. Okay, now you can see all three of these colors don't exist in your palette. So really, by mixing colors with watercolor, you can get all sorts of colors. Now, before I let you try whatever you want here, my suggestions might be something like drawing something with it, try to paint a little image, try to make some shapes with it, try one of these again and see what you can make, maybe paint a little scene here. That's gonna be up to you. But first I want you to go back to your wash. Now your wash should be almost dry, and I want you to pick up some blue again, and I want you to just make a swipe through the middle. And what you'll notice is where you went over what was already painted, it's going to be darker. Okay, so again, these colors, these kinds of paints, watercolors, they work by layering transparent layers over the top of each other. All right, it's your chance to go ahead and spend the rest of the time getting these two boxes with some other techniques, and then I'll show you how to clean up. Okay, so it's time to clean up. You can see I used my watercolors to try a couple different things. I kind of morphed together some dry brush with a little bit of line work on top. For cleaning up each day, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rinse out your brushes. These do not have to be washed with soap, so you can just give them a good rinsing in the water and dry them off real good. These are going to stay in your bag for the week, so you want to make sure you use your paper towel to get them good and dry. So I'm going to do that first. You can go ahead and do that. Once you have your brushes clean, you are going to then take your paper towel and you're going to use that. Let me move this to the side so I can show you this. You're going to use that to clean up all the extra paint that you used to make new colors, so that it's nice and clean for the next day, and so that it doesn't make your bag all super wet. If you have any super wet paint in here, you may want to keep this open and let it dry off a little bit before you put it in your bag. Or you may, if it's super wet, you may want to ask me a place that you can keep it. If it seems dry-ish by the end of the class period, you can close it up. You might want to put your brushes in there too. Just keep our brushes right in there, close it up, and this can go in your bag. And this is going to go to the drying rack, which I will call you in just a minute to give you to come pick up your work to put in there. And then also I'll be excusing you by table to go rinse out your cup and leave this on the back counter. All right, I hope you had a good time with watercolor today. Let's get cleaned up.